Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Before we hop into the show, I need to let you know that I am currently doing a giveaway on my Twitter. Actually, every Wednesday we have a new Hump Day giveaway. So what you need to do is head over to @Brodes81. At the top of my profile, there is a pinned tweet that explains the rules. It's very simple. Follow me, follow my other Twitter account, @BrodesMedia, and also retweet the tweet. It's that simple. The winner will be DM'd on Wednesday. So make sure you stay involved and stay engaged for all the future awesome apparel, jerseys, hats, you name it, that you have the chance to win. Thank you all and enjoy the show. Oh, no! 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 I feel pain! Pain, I tell ya! What a heartbreaker. To lose that way 5-4 because of a mental mistake, it's so frustrating. Jose Alvarado gets a ball back hit right to him. He has no idea where to go with it. He tries to turn two. Didi Gregorius is coming in on the play. They were clearly making sure that the runner at third wasn't able to get home, and I don't think Alvarado realized that. I think he completely forgot about anyone even being on the bag over at third base, so his instincts took over. He looked at second. He realized, hey, there's one out. If we could turn two, we can get out of this jam. But he forgot that there was someone going home. God damn it. I mentioned this the other day when Alec Boehm allowed a couple errors to happen, whether it was his throw to Rhys Hoskins, even though Rhys Hoskins should have done a better job at actually catching the baseball off the hop, or if it was the one that went underneath of his glove. Great teams make sure that they bone you when you make a crucial mistake. This squad in the Atlanta Braves are too talented where if you're going to make mistakes, they will make sure that they come out victorious. They will punch you in the jaw. If you're in a UFC fight and your hand's a little too low, or a boxing match and your hands are just a little too low and they slip because you're getting tired, you're going to get tagged, all right? Your chin's going to get popped. And that's exactly what happened. This is a game that I don't know if they necessarily, quote, should have won, but it definitely should have had a different play out than what we witnessed. If you lose because of a traditional baseball play and it's normal and it's not because of a mental error, well, then it's a totally different situation. If you lose just because they beat you with the standard play, I can live with that more. I'll still be upset and I'll still be disappointed and I'll still rage into this microphone, but it would have a different tone to it. Now you're having self-inflicting wounds, and when you do that, well, it's somewhat telling. Hey, there's a problem here. We've seen those type of issues occur over the last couple of seasons, and now that you've seen them a few times already, it's, hold on a second, come on. Please tell me there's going to be a different mentality here and a different approach. Please. Now, I don't remember this quote being thrown around there, but I saw Scott Lauber of the Philadelphia Inquirer throw this out after the game, and it was from Dave Dombrowski during spring training. And this isn't the exact quote. I'm paraphrasing, but you'll understand the message rather quickly. The offense will win us games. The defense will lose us games at time. Well, we do know that, right? I know that it's like, whoa, hold on a second. You're informing us that our defense blows? Well, he's not sugarcoating things. We have issues. Rhys Hoskins and Alec Boehm. There are problems on this team defensively. So that was clear, and that was evident, and that was obvious. If you know anything about how this team is constructed, you know that there's going to be mistakes all around. And quite frankly, the Braves should have scored anyway in that moment because Alec Boehm is charging towards Andrew McCutchen. McCutchen's coming in. They bang into one another. Their arms collide. Luckily, Boehm has the ball in his glove, but as he turns his body, he's throwing off of his back foot. There should have been a tag on the play. But honestly, how come Andrew McCutchen didn't call him off and make the play? As you're coming in, you can provide such a better throw to home where it wouldn't even be in question if there's going to be a tag up. There wouldn't be a tag up because McCutchen is such in great position that he would be able to deliver such a smooth throw that you don't want to test it. You don't want to even try. You don't want to have that out at home plate there. You'd rather wait and give yourself another opportunity with another batter up at the dish to try and see if you can get knocked in traditionally here. So I don't know what happened in that inning, but there were multiple mistakes. It's just the second one. You escaped, essentially. That's what happened. It could have been way worse. Imagine if Bohm made that play. They collide with one another. He still catches it, but because it's Bohm who's going towards the wall, towards the outfield, towards the fence, because it's him who's actually catching the ball, you get a tag up to home plate. That's honestly just as much of a disaster, in my opinion. It's baseball 101. It's easy things that you learn when you're how old? You should all know what you're going to do. I know this sounds like we're talking to little leaguers at this point, but you learn it when you're 4, and it's something that gets drilled into your brain nonstop. Before you get the ball, make sure you know where you're going. Predetermine in your head, okay, if I get the ball, this is the circumstance, this is the situation, this is the time that we're at here, this is the play we need to make. And Jose Alvarado just had a huge brain fart. I'm not putting the blame so much on Didi or Gene Segura. I saw something like, hey, well, they were coming in. Or, hey, they should have been at the bag. No, you're at third. There's a man on third. All right? It's a tied baseball game. It's late. Make sure that run doesn't score. Just get it to first base at some point. Hold him. Go to first base. Record that out in the inning. And then, hey, yes, there's still a man on third, but you only need to get one more out. And he was able to do everything else fine. I mean, he was blowing it by guys. He was utilizing his velocity, and you saw the speed that he had on his pitches where he was just fine. So he probably would have been able to get out of that inning smoothly if he just made that simple play and understood this is what I need to do. Now, Joe Girardi said after the game that it was perfectly placed. Now, damn. Look, I know Joe Girardi's not going to throw anyone under the bus, and he's going to keep it 100 when it comes to his players. And what I mean by 100, I guess that's more like he's going to be honest, and I guess that's really not what he's going to be. So I'll rephrase that. But he's going to make sure that he has all of his players' backs all the time, and he's not going to throw anyone underneath the rug, and he's not going to complain about someone or blame anybody for making an error or making a bad decision or making a bad pitch or this and that. He's just going to give you coach speak, manager speak, and then we'll move on to the next game. To say that was perfectly placed is just hysterical. Come on, Joe. Who are you fooling? Who do you think we are? Do you think we're a dumb fan base? Like, that's what's comical to me. And it's all these managers, right? Boone was asked about Aaron Judge, and it's obvious something's going on, and he's trying to mumble over his words, and he's trying to kind of go into a circle here, and it's terrible. I mean, he's lying on one side of his mouth. Oh, yeah, he's not injured, but he's just going to miss some time, and he's not ready, and this and that. And if you look at the timeline of Aaron Judge and the words used by Boone to try and describe to the media what's actually going down, it's an embarrassment to think that anyone would truly believe in the words that come out, and it's the same with Joe Girardi. That was perfectly placed. Okay, yeah, let me drill that in my brain. So when I fall asleep tonight, I'll just picture that being perfectly placed instead of such a mess internally where you shot yourself in the foot that costed you a game. And the Braves are a better team. We knew that going into the season that the Braves were a better team. But I'll tell you what, this game on Sunday Night Baseball between Drew Smyly and Matt Moore, you better get a win just to stop the bleeding a bit, because if you respond from sweeping the Braves, and what ends up resulting is you getting swept by the Braves, it's a little disappointing. Not that I expect to win every series, but you knew that they were going to come hungry, and you knew they were going to come with fire in their eyes, and you knew you were going to go on the road where it would be a hostile environment. I can at least expect one win here, and you better salvage this thing with Matt Moore. Not that I'm having a lot of faith here in that back end of the rotation, but hopefully he can outduel someone like Drew Smyly. So let's get to the pitching duel today. Zach Eflin versus Ian Anderson. And the Phillies actually started out unbelievable, right? They got on the board. It looked smooth. Ian Anderson was not dialed in, and he did not look comfortable, and he wasn't locked in right from the start. You had McCutchen walk. Hey, you get your leadoff guy on. Let's go. He might not be hitting the best, although he did hit a home run later on in this game. Heading into this tilt, it wasn't as if Andrew McCutchen was blowing everybody by storm here and just taking it for a ride consistently. But what do you got to do in those situations? Work the count, get yourself on base, earn a walk, do it the old-fashioned way. He gets on board. Rhys Hoskins gets it out, although, look, Rhys Hoskins, the last two games were pretty bad. Yeah. he goes 0 for again. He finished 0 for 4. So Rhys Hoskins in that 2 spot had another tough day at the office. And this is just that flow you're going to get out of Rhys. Scorching red hot to, what are you doing? You look so overwhelmed. I don't know how you looked so special just 2 games ago, but that's who Rhys Hoskins is. And to think it's going to be anything other than extreme red hot and extreme cold, well, then you just haven't watched Rhys Hoskins over the last handful of years, where I have enough of a sample size to know this is what Rhys is. So he's going to explode, and he's going to be unreal, and you're going to be screaming and jumping up and down in front of your TV in excitement, and then you're going to be pulling your hair out and probably scratching your eyes because, well, he's going 0 for 4, and he's going 0 for 4, and he's going 0 for 4, and that's just Rhys Hoskins. So, anyway, in that first inning, boom, with 2 strikes. I mean, talk about a professional AB. He did with a 2-2 count. He had a pitch that I would have loved to see him drive, but he fouls it back. And Ruben Amaro Jr. on the broadcast was trying to make it seem like, well, Alec Boehm, he's just waiting for his right pitch. No, Ruben, that was his right pitch. That was an Alec Boehm pitch. He just missed it. That's a pitch that Alec Boehm can totally deliver on, and he just missed it. Luckily, he's such a smart batter, and he's so intelligent at this game that he gets another pitch, 2 strikes, keep in mind. He goes the other way with it. He taps it out there, and what do you know? It keeps things going. It keeps things grooving, and Didi Gregorius with 2 strikes as well plops one out there in between an awkward space, second base, outfield, kind of plopped it out there into no man's land, which allowed the Phillies to take a 2-0 lead. Hey, to get a 2-0 lead in the first inning, that is just the best way possible to start, right? Get on the board, work Ian Anderson, put him in a situation where he feels uncomfortable. Now he's got to work essentially from behind, right? You're down 2-0, you got to battle back, you got to dig deep. Well, he did do that, and what bothers me is that Zach Eflin allowed the Braves to come back. So Zach Eflin and Ian Anderson almost had very similar days. They both started out with an extreme amount of pitches in the first inning, and then they settled in. So that's how the Phillies got on the board. When it comes to the Braves, though, you allow Acuna Jr. to get a double. You allow Ozzie Albies to get a double. And then Freddie Freeman, of all people, shocker, this guy just absolutely rakes. He put one over the moon. All right, this guy crushed a ball 6,532 feet. And the poise and patience of Freddie Freeman at the dish, just waiting to pick and pop on his spot and just knowing when to choose, when he's going to murder the baseball, essentially. Freddie Freeman is a joy. If you enjoy the pure entertainment of hitting, there's a lot in that category. Let's be realistic with where baseball is today, but he's definitely in the National League up at the top, and he's a special talent. Freddie Freeman delivered one to give the Braves that 3-2 lead. So you're just so pumped up to actually start the game off with the lead, knowing you fell last game, and it looked like, hey, there's something to this. The bats are waking up. And then here's Ian Anderson after that first inning, and he's just smooth, and he's striking guys out. Now, Ian Anderson had 6 strikeouts in 5 2/3, allowed 5 hits, 4 earned runs, walked 1 in 89 pitches. Here's what's impressive about Zach Eflin's stat line, though. So he goes 6 innings after that really tough first. 7 hits, 4 earned runs, only walked 1, but 77 pitches total. There's just something to keep stressing when it comes to my man Zach Eflin, who just finds his way and is so damn efficient. Think about this, right? Like, you're up there in the 20s in your first inning, and it looks miserable, and you really got to tough it out, and it's not easy to do that, especially let's not act as if you're going up against the Marlins. Let's not act as if you're going up against some of these bad teams in the National League. You're going up against a powerful Braves lineup that is a playoff team, that is a legitimate contender, that have serious threats nonstop all the way up and down their lineup. So for you to struggle the way that you do and then give you 6 innings total and give you 77 pitches, at the end of the day, him and Ian Anderson both left the game. Look, every game has its own style to it, has its own flow. This is the way it played out. Zach Eflin and Ian Anderson, they both kind of allowed their team to be involved, and they did their job after having such a failure first inning. I don't complain about Eflin tonight. I'm not pissed off with Eflin tonight. If anything, I'll do the old tip of the cap for how he responded to a little bit of adversity there against such a lethal lineup, right? I mean, it can't be described enough when it comes to how talented Acuna, Albies, Freeman, this whole lineup. It's scary as hell. So kudos to him for keeping the team involved. Had such a weird flow to it for sure. So Eflin did have a little bit of revenge. I know it's not much of revenge because you lost the baseball game, but a beautiful inside pitch with some nasty movement gets Freeman. He wasn't happy with the call, and it might have been a little bit inside, but too close to take, in my opinion. If you look at the virtual strike zone, it was a little inside. Maybe it nicked that inside corner, but I'm probably being just a little bit biased because it was Zach Eflin's pitch. But you can see the reaction on his face, and he grimaces and he buckles the knees because it was some just tough movement involved. But I think he was more a little upset with what was called because of the umpire behind the dish. And I just feel so far this season, every single damn game I can criticize the umpire to like a legitimate level, to the point where it's terrible. What's happening behind the plate, the inconsistency. I saw Ian Anderson throw a pitch that was at the bottom of the strike zone that was called a strike. The same placement one pitch later is a ball. And Alec Boehm somewhat looked afterward. After that strike, it might have been a tad lower, just a hair lower, but close enough where that is the same pitch, man. Like, that's the same location. That's the same spot. If you call that a strike for the first pitch for Ian Anderson, it's got to be a strike for the second pitch. You got to know, if you're a hitter, where are the boundaries here? What's the boundaries? What's your strike zone? What do I need to swing at? What do I need to protect? And it's all over the map in all of these games. And to be fair, it happens for both sides, right? So one team's dealing with it, the other team's dealing with it. But I do think it has been taken to this ugly level to start out this season. Maybe it's just the Blues getting back into the flow of things, but goddamn, it's being pretty ugly. So fifth inning, Andrew McCutchen ties the baseball game up 3-3 with the home run. Just an awesome, awesome swing. The problem is he lost the rock, paper, scissors with Dusty. Now, professional. He loses the rock, paper, scissors and handles it like a man. Just points at him and acknowledges he did lose. Not even phased. Just goes back to the dugout. Very impressive out of Andrew McCutchen. All jokes aside, though, Kutch, that was big, right? I mean, your leader stepping up, tying the baseball game. They escaped a little bit of some trouble, though, in that bottom half of the fifth inning when the Braves were up. And I think it just tells you a bit about how center field is viewed. I don't think I'm reaching. I don't think I'm going too far. But when you have someone on second base for the Braves and they decide with 2 outs to take a shot at third, look, you never want to make that third out at third base in an inning. That is baseball 101. Going back to the fundamentals of things, you learn that when you're 5, just like how we started this show off, right? So you never want to do that. But when you go with Adam Hasty, and it wasn't even close. Adam Hasty wasn't close. Maybe he was thrown off by surprise. Maybe he was unaware that they were going to go. But what I feel is teams look at center field, Adam Hasty, anyone who's out there. I mean, there's really only 2 options right now, but they look at it as a laughing joke. Like, Adam Hasty, really? I'm not going to go because it's Adam Hasty? Now, luckily, the Phillies get out of that inning anyway, where that run does not score over at third, but it's just a defining moment on what you have in center field. And I know I've been saying since the beginning here, give Hasty a chance, give Hasty a chance. I'm done with Roman Quinn, and if it's between those 2 options, I still 100% believe I'm going with Adam Hasty 100 out of 100% of the time here, but I'm done with Hasty too, I think. And it's not really just because of what I'm basing it off of now. I've seen him last year. I've seen Adam Hasty. I feel like I got a grasp of what he is. You know, like, I want him to be better than what he is, and I don't think that 8-hole hitters are so fantastic anyway where you're going to get elite play out of your 8-hole hitter where it's going to be some special talent, because that's not reality of the situation. This team isn't Dodgers built. It's not elite built where it's World Series built. It's entertainment built. So there are holes within your lineup, and your 8-hole hitter isn't going to be the most perfect player in the world. But man, I'm so underwhelmed out of Hasty too. You know, like, he gets hits and whatnot against some teams and whatever, but I don't know. There's something missing. There's an it factor missing for me with Hasty. And one of the things we all liked about him early on was just his compete level, his work ethic, his hustle, being a younger guy, his defense and all. But now you got guys taking shots on him, and he's having mishaps out in the field. And I don't know. There's just something missing for sure, and the answer is not Roman Quinn either. So I just thought that was crucial. Also, though, Bryce Harper, he gets his first, baby. That Bryce Harper bomb was sex. If you look at that replay, you see it in slow motion, it's sex. That's how you describe his swing, how powerful it is, how he follows through. And not only that, just the swag afterwards, the confidence, the trot around the bases, everything about Bryce Harper, that line drive shot was just absolutely crushed, and he gets his first on the board. And we normally see Bryce Harper get into a flow of things once one thing happens. You can always relate a hot stretch for Bryce Harper to, oh yeah, remember that double in the gap against Miami? And then you're talking about that like 5-6 games later. It's, oh yeah, remember a week ago when against the Mets, he hit one off the wall and got a triple. That sparked Bryce Harper. There's always something correlating, and you can go back and kind of relate it to, oh yeah, that moment. Let's see if getting a big-time home run, getting the first one of the season for Bryce Harper. Keep in mind, he had 2 hits the other game. So, like, hey, maybe Bryce is just kind of easing himself into it a bit. That home run, though, that's the one that takes it to that next level. Finally getting one over the fence is normally how things kind of, take that next step for sure when it comes to confidence and just seeing the baseball better. So the Phillies did have the lead. Unfortunately, though, Dansby Swanson ends up roping one down that third base line, which allowed them to tie the game back up. And this is where Joe Girardi tried to get a little bit methodical and go after Pache and go for an intentional walk with Riley to get out of that inning, which they ended up doing, so it paid off. But you did see some weird stuff happening, whether Andrew Knapp stayed in the game and JT Realmuto being put into the game. And I think it just shows you where, look, I even said it from the jump, and this isn't breaking news by any means, but this team isn't perfectly built by any means. We're excited because we're expecting better play than we have seen throughout the past couple of years, but they still have holes, they still have roster problems, and I think that's somewhat of a telling moment, too, of putting Andrew Knapp over at first base and, having JT behind the dish. And what does that say about some of your utility guys and what you have on the bench as options? I just think that's kind of telling you where you're at. And, you don't want to mishap with the catchers, if anything happened in the game, yada, yada, yada. I think it's telling with what you have with some of your utility pieces for sure. After you allowed that nonsense to occur, though, because of Alvarado, that top of the eighth inning was pretty much where you had your chance to come back in that game. And it started with Bryce Harper, who grounded out to first base, Alec Boehm, who struck out looking, and Didi Gregorius, who flew out. So that was basically your eighth inning. And from there, once you realize, hey, we're going into that bottom part of that lineup with your Chance and Will Smith on the bump, it was essentially over from there. And it was a heartbreaking one, no doubt about it. I did see Coonrod when the game was, I'm not going to say the game was over. It was a one-run game, but when Coonrod was in the game, win or lose, I saw my man throw 101 cheese up in the zone and no one could touch it. You got hard throwers this year, man. Hard throwers is an understatement. Between Alvarado, Coonrod, I was blown away, no pun intended, on what I was seeing out of Coonrod. And the thing is, we've seen Alvarado a few more times than we have Coonrod. Not that we didn't know what was in the repertoire of Coonrod, but yeah, you're just seeing 101, 100. You're seeing gas this year. Wasn't able to help you tonight get the win. Well, to be fair, their play was fine in terms of throwing the ball and making sure that their velocity was up. They had a tough time actually hitting it. The mental mistake really costed them, and hopefully that's just not something that you consistently see out of this team, but you're starting to see poor defense and errors be a problem. And over 162, that could be damaging. 100% it could be damaging. Before we take the Anytime Hotline calls, I do want to let you know about my friends over at DraftKings. There's so much to bet on. There's so much sports happening, whether it's Major League Baseball, NHL, professional basketball, The Masters just finished up. There's still one more day, of course. There's Sunday, and there's a lot of great odds promotion boosts going on in general for all of these sports. Make sure you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up. There is so much happening on that DraftKings Sportsbook app. It would be silly to not look at all of their promotion boosts. You can make so much money there. All of their odds. It is full out tremendous. Once again, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use promo code BRODES for a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only, restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's throw it on over to the reaction of you.
Tough loss tonight. Seemed like one that we kind of had to win here because I don't feel good about tomorrow, but if we're getting up 5 runs a game to the Braves with not a 1 or a 2, Eflin didn't start off strong, but he came back at the end and pitched a decent game, and or that Jose Alvarado mistake, Archie Bradley didn't pitch too well, but our offense has to produce more, in my opinion. We're not producing enough runs, enough hits. If we're looking for walks, Roman Quinn should never step foot on the field. He sucks. And I don't like how JT Realmuto is I'm not paying him $115 million to sit out every couple games. I want him playing almost every game. Of course he needs his couple rest days, but I want him playing most games. And tough loss.
I mean, to this point, I'm not worried about how they're utilizing JT Realmuto. You know, Sunday afternoon games is a standard day for him to get off. That's just a standard move. To this point, to be complaining about Andrew Knapp, who's played just barely any time at this point, I don't think that's reasonable just yet. If they take it to an extreme, then yes, we can resurface that conversation. But right now, no. And in terms of like, hey, this offense needs to get going. For Bryce to hit a homer, McCutchen to need a homer, and for you to score the runs that you did in the first inning, I mean, look, it should have been a 4-4 game, and you should have been able to get out of that inning. So just one more run should have been able to take down the Braves. Yeah, I mean, a full sample size, your 5-3 season to this point, would you like the offense to be better? Absolutely, but I don't look at this game as your offense failed you miserably. I thought, if anything, your offense made some big-time moments happen. You started the game off hot right out the jump. That's A+. You get home runs out of McCutchen and Bryce Harper to take the lead, tie the game, and take the lead. That's A+. Your pitching, if anything, like I don't look at today's game and say, you know what I'm really disappointed with? How the offense played. I look at it more as, you know what bothered me? How your bullpen came in and was a problem. Now, you're going to blow games. Your bullpen's not going to bat 1,000. They are going to make mistakes, and tonight was that mistake, and you got to make sure you limit those. But the way I look at this and my take afterwards is more of, you shot yourself in the foot, not because of an offensive play, but because of your bullpen and your decision-making out of Jose Alvarado. Like, that's what cost you this more than your offense. So if you're looking at tonight's game and saying the offense needs to be better, I mean, not really. If anything, you just got to clean up those mental mishaps and you would have came out victorious, right? Or at least you would have had another chance to. You would have at least put yourself in a position to go out and score another run and get another at-bat or get another home run. And if let's say you get 2 guys on and someone hits a 3-run shot and then you end up winning the game 7-4, well, then you look at it as, hey, well, they scored 7 runs. If that game stayed tied and you scored a couple runs because of a home run that wins you the baseball game, well, then you have a totally different outlook on how many runs you scored. It wasn't really the offense, in my opinion, that was the difference in this game. Not that they played a perfect game by any means, but I thought their offense did enough to win this game. Where it all fell was just, as we kind of alluded to, just not knowing where to go with the baseball. And yeah, Archie Bradley, I just have this weird gut feeling. It's nothing other than gut feel with Archie Bradley. And it's very silly, I'll be honest with you. It's silly and it doesn't make a lot of sense. But it's just because of his personality, the way that he came off in the beginning and signed JT before he even knew the fan base. And he's very vocal. He's got a lot of personality. But I could just see it backfiring. And I can see it. Now, it's an upgrade from last year, so I'm not mad with the signing. But there's just something in my gut that tells me throughout the entirety of the season we're going to end up disliking Archie Bradley for moments like this and because of how loud he is and how open he is about things, more so than us loving him and being drawn and attached to him. Because to be that, you're going to have to be a legitimate shutdown guy. And I know that he makes mistakes, and I know that he gets beat up a bit in certain moments, and he's not like the most lethal shutdown guy there is. So, I'm just putting it together of how loud, like if you're quiet and you just go about your business and you have Archie Bradley's numbers compared to being outspoken and being loud and being in the media and using social media, and you have that same career tied to your name, it's perceived differently, especially in a city like this. I'm not saying Archie Bradley has like insanely terrible numbers, by the way. I know that he does have some tougher moments and all. Like, for example, last year out of the pen, he was a 4.22 in Arizona. So I'm just putting it into perspective here. That's all. Just putting it into perspective. All right, let's take another phone call.
Just why does this organization not trust Adam Hazley? And why do they trust Roman Quinn more than him? That's literally all I have to say. Adam Hazley's he's not bad, but he's not good. He's just okay. Roman Quinn is actively bad. And Jose Alvarado needs to grow a brain. Like, baseball IQ, man. Please.
Yeah, that would be lovely. That would definitely be lovely. I don't even know what to think anymore about that Roman Quinn, Adam Hazley thing. I just feel like I'm fatigued by it already, and we're 8 games into the season, and I'm already thinking that, like, can we please stop? Do we really need to go through with this again? I don't think either of them are good enough, and I have been pretty, not big, definitely not big, but I have been discussing the Adam Hazley option and discussing how, hey, just let him go out there, let him play, just see what he can do. And I just think he's overmatched, man. I really do. I just think this guy is overmatched. And, yes, you can learn to catch up. I just don't think he has that it factor. I don't think he has it. I just don't. So I don't know what to do. If you're choosing between the two, it's a no-brainer. Roman Quinn should never play again, and I don't get why he goes up there. I don't get why they put him up there. It's so clear. Everyone sees it. He cannot hit the baseball. So why is he ever a pinch hitter? Just pinch run the guy. Only use it for pinch running. And quite frankly, that's a terrible way to utilize a roster spot. And he could probably go in a whole other direction. His speed does not make up for all of his other failures. His speed is great. His speed is different. His speed is not something that you can teach, and it is nice to have that. But you don't have a good enough roster where you can just say, you know what, let's just have him out there just for pinch running situation. You need better play. You need better play in other positions, in other spots, on other roster spots. So you can't waste one on a dude who can't hit the baseball, right? So can we please, I beg of you, please, stop with Roman Quinn. All right. Here we go.
Got to admit, this loss tonight by the Phillies pissed me off. To lose a game the way they lost it, inexplicable. But 3 things are becoming obvious to me in this series. Number 1, the home plate umpiring has sucked from the first inning of yesterday's game to the last inning of today. I'd hate to be a hitter. I don't know what a strike or a ball is anymore watching these games. Number 2, what killed the Phillies tonight, in my opinion, among other things, the inability to put the ball in play with 2 strikes. I mean, I have no confidence in any of our hitters with 2 strikes that they can do any kind of damage. Whereas if you look across at the Braves, you figure even with 2 strikes, guys like Freeman and Acuna are going to do something positive. Third and finally, can somebody please, just for my own enjoyment, throw a fastball and peg that motherfucker Acuna right between his fucking eyebrows? I mean, you can play the game with passion, you can play the game with enthusiasm, but he's crossing the line, and I'm quite frankly sick of it. I wish Bob Gibson was alive to dust that son of a bitch at home plate.
I disagree. We've been disagreeing a lot lately. You've been calling it like Acuna. No, How about instead of pegging the guy, make a better pitch? Make a better fucking pitch. I hate how we have now, like, why does baseball have to be where you are professional? And when you hit a home run, act like you've done it before. But in hockey, we love fist pumps. We love jumping up into the glass. We love Alexander Ovechkin. We love Austin Matthews. We love the passion in that game. In basketball, when you throw a monster dunk, yeah, you throw the flex down, you throw the muscles, you scream, you can step over someone, you can taunt someone. You love that. In football, you throw a mean hit, you look at him in the face, you fucking suck, motherfucker. You give him that type of attitude, and we love that. But in baseball, oh, God forbid, in baseball, after a home run, you can't pimp it off a bit, and you can't showboat a bit. Why? Why in every other sport it's okay, but yet when we discuss baseball, act like you've been there before. Oh, wait, let's straighten up the tie and trot around the bases. No, that's what makes it fun. Now, when you see Acuna Jr., you don't have to peg him. That's bullshit. Make a better pitch, but there's an extra juice surrounding. Now, you hate each other a little bit more. It brings that intensity. We always bitch and complain that, well, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade dapping each other up, and when you're in the NBA Finals or whatever. I mean, dapping your opposing player up in an NBA Final, in a playoff series, we can't stand that because it's too friendly. Now we have a situation where it's the complete opposite, and we're complaining about that. I don't understand the logic of baseball fans that don't see this as a fun side, a better part of the game, and it brings that rivalry back. It brings that hatred back. It brings the passion back in the game where you despise one another. Unless you're Gene Segura and Acuna Jr. over at second base, and I'd be a little bothered if I was a pitcher. I saw Jim Salisbury tweeting about this as well. What are you doing, right? I mean, your teammate just allowed a double, and here you are playing around, flirting around with Ronald Acuna Jr. on second base. Shut up and get back to your spot. That's what I would say if I was your teammate. Stop playing games. Stop trying to be funny. Just focus up. Focus up, dude. In terms of the two strike thing, in the first inning, you did have that with Bohm, and you did have that with Didi. And if there's anyone that I truly feel comfortable hitting with two strikes, it's Bohm. That's about it. I feel like Bryce Harper, of course, you just feel confident with Bryce Harper because he's Bryce Harper. So he's sort of the outlier, and he's the true pro. But, yeah, with Alec Boehm, I'd say he's one that I feel comfortable with. But if you compare it to the Braves lineup, the one thing I'll say to counter it is they're better, right? I mean, their lineup is just better. They have better players. They have better talent. And that doesn't necessarily mean the Phillies stink. And it doesn't mean that their lineup is just the worst lineup ever. It's absolutely atrocious. That just shows you how good the Braves lineup really is. But, yeah, they might have Freddie Freeman. You don't have Freddie Freeman. You don't have an NL MVP player. Sure, Bryce Harper could be that, and he was that years ago and all, but he isn't that player to that level. Freddie Freeman is a better player than Bryce Harper. You don't have that. You don't have an Acuna Jr. So, yeah, they are special talents, and this Phillies organization just doesn't have that right now. It sucks, but they don't have that right now. So thank you all so much for listening to this episode, and we'll be back tomorrow after Drew Smiley and Matt Moore battle it off. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you next time.